Hey guys, Jonathan Soder here, back again doing another movie review, and today we'll be reviewing Star Wars 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, Star Wars 5, The Empire Strikes Back is directed by Irvin Kershner and features Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Frank Oz, David Prowse, James Earl Jones, Billy Dee Williams, Peter Mayhew, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, Alec Guinness, Jeremy Bullock, I think that's his name, Clive Revilk, Kenneth Colley, and John Hollis. So the plot of Star Wars 5: The Empire Strikes Back is that it takes place like some time after A New Hope, and like it starts off with the rebellion hiding on Hoth from the Empire, because the Empire really wants to go after the rebellion after what they did to the Death Star, and more than that too. Darth Vader wants to go after the rebellion for Luke Skywalker because he has sensed that he is his son. And that's a bit of a spoiler, but I'm pretty sure everyone's seen Empire Strikes Back and knows that twist. So yeah, like he sensed that he's his son, but like it doesn't tell you like what Darth Vader senses in Luke Skywalker till the end of the movie. But like he just senses he just senses that Luke is his son, so like that's why he's after him so much, and he's setting so much traps for Luke and all of that so he can meet up with him. And so yeah, and then Vader sets a trap for the rebellion, like sets a war for the rebellion so he can get to Luke, but then Luke and Han Solo like end up getting away. But like before I get into that, I just gotta say that like in Hoth, Han Solo's ship, the Millennium Falcon, is broken, but like Han Solo was originally gonna leave Hoth and the rebellion to go try to pay back Jabba the Hutt, because if he doesn't, he's in deep shit. So yeah, like he really needs to go back, but like he can't go back to go pay back Jabba because the Millennium Falcon is broken, and like it's not even working well, and the hyperdrive is not even working at all. So like he's just sticking around in Hoth, and so like but when Vader comes, he has to take Leia and Chewie and the droids away from them with the Millennium Falcon, but like they leave behind Luke, because like Luke has to go somewhere too. Like they end up like beating Vader's war in Hoth, the battle in Hoth, but like and like before that, Luke Skywalker saw Obi-Wan's Force Ghost like actually, and then like he tells him to go to the Dagobah system, and there he will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Knight who instructed Obi-Wan. So yeah, and then that's where Luke goes after the Battle of Hoth to train with Yoda, and Vader's still trying to look for him, and he's just setting a lot of traps for Luke, trying to get him to come and get out of Hoth, get out of the Dagobah system. So like Luke's just training in the Dagobah system with Yoda, while like Han Solo and Leia are trying to escape from Vader's crew with the broken Millennium Falcon. So that's basically the whole plot of The Empire Strikes Back. Now, do I love Star Wars 5: The Empire Strikes Back? Yes, I love Star Wars 5: The Empire Strikes Back. This is easily my favorite Star Wars movie ever. And not only is this my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's my favorite movie in general. It's my favorite movie of all time. This movie is so emotional, and it's so awesome. I love every second of this movie. Like, there is no boring scene in this movie. This movie goes by a lot faster than A New Hope does. This movie is 2 hours, and it just feels like 15 minutes. It goes by really fast, and it's amazing. There's no boring scenes in this movie. Every scene is so compelling with dialogue and action, and it's so cool and so riveting. And every scene has suspense in it too, and even comedy too, and it's just really cool. Like, literally every genre is in this movie, and it's just spectacular. And yeah, this movie, this movie deserves so much praise. It deserves its place in film history. Everyone else thinks that this is the greatest Star Wars movie. I think so too. This is my favorite movie, my favorite Star Wars movie. So yeah, the characters in this movie are a little better than they were in A New Hope. They're actually more fleshed out in this movie, and you see them go into really, really dark paths. And this, as the title hints, The Empire Strikes Back. That is actually what happens in this movie. The Empire does strike back. Our heroes lose. The Millennium Falcon's broken. They're having a hard time escape from Vader's crew. And when they do manage to escape from them, some more bad shit happens. And it's just so crazy. So yeah, and like even Luke, the Empire's striking back at Luke too. Like in Dagobah's system with Yoda, he's failing his trainings. Like really, not really bad, but he's failing his trainings. Like, and he's not even paying close attention to what Yoda's saying. And like all the stuff that goes down in the end really makes the Empire strike back. And this is the darkest Star Wars movie ever. That is the main reason why I love this movie so much. It is the darkest movie I've ever seen, and it is awesome. So yeah, and yeah, so what else was I gonna say? So to the characters, Darth Vader, he has a lot more to do in this movie than he does in A New Hope. He's actually, at times, he feels like the protagonist of the movie, and it's really cool. At times, this feels like Vader's movie, and it's really cool. So yeah, Vader, like, in this movie, he's really, really evil. He's more evil than he was in A New Hope. Like, here, he's killing his men. Like, he's taking out his men left and right. Like, if you fell him once, like, just once, he will take you out. He will force stroke you. He will kill you with his force stroke right away. He will, like, do anything to get to Luke Skywalker. So, yeah, he is really evil in this movie. I will talk about him a little bit more. Just let me talk about Luke Skywalker in this movie. Luke Skywalker in this movie is really cool. So yeah, Luke Skywalker, like, I love all the scenes with him in action, and I love the beginning in Hoth where, like, he's riding his Tauntaun in the snow, and, like, he's trying to look at an asteroid that landed there, but then he gets captured by the Wampa. I think that's the thing. The Wampa is, like, this, like, ice werebear. It's like this ice bear that stands on 2 feet, and it's really giant. So yeah, and like he gets captured by him, and then like the Wampa like eats the Tauntaun and like hangs Luke upside down on his feet. So yeah, I love that scene so much. I love where like this is the first time we've ever seen Luke use the Force to catch his lightsaber, or anyone in the Star Wars series to use the Force to catch their lightsaber. His lightsaber is like in a pit of snow, like in like a pile of snow, and like while he's hanging on the ceiling. So like he's trying to reach for the lightsaber, but then he uses the Force, like he closes his eyes and then he just goes, and then it comes right to him, and then he's able to chop off the things that are like handcuffing him on the ceiling, and then like the Wampa sees it, and then he chops off the Wampa's arm, and it's really cool. And then like it actually shows you how the Wampa's arm is chopped off, and it's really cool. And then he manages to escape the cave like that, and that scene was very, very compelling and very cool. Just him like using the Force to get the lightsaber is one of the greatest character moments or any moments in film history, and it's just really cool. Like, it's everything about this movie is really cool. So yeah, and just I love where like Luke is just like laying on like the snow, like he's just laying on the snow, and like the rebellion is like wondering like where the fuck did Luke go and all of that. And, like they're really worried on where Luke is at, and he's been gone for quite some time. And then like Han Solo like goes to rescue Luke because he still has the Millennium Falcon and everything to focus on, but he wants to go rescue Luke, and so he does. And then and then his Tauntaun like freezes to death, and like he warms Luke up by like ripping the Tauntaun in half, not in half, but like his insides, and his insides look a little bit like potatoes in my opinion, like chopped up potatoes, you know. They look a little bit like candy too at times. So yeah, enough of the Tauntaun guts. So yeah, he rips the Tauntaun guts, and that warms him up. And then Han Solo's like, "Oh, I thought they smelled bad on the outside." That line is really good. This movie's really well written too. Like George Lucas didn't write this movie. Someone else did. And it is really well written. I can't imagine what was going through this man's head writing this movie. So yeah, and I love when like the rebellion finds them, and then like Luke is like getting warmed up in like this hot tub thing like that's inside like this like round cylinder thing. So yeah, and I love right there everyone's glad to see him, and then I love in this movie Han Solo is always getting at Leia. And here they fall in love, but like in the beginning of the movie and in Hoth, like before Han Solo when Han Solo says he has to leave to pay back Jabba the Hutt, he's like telling Leia, "Well, so long, princess." And then Leia was like, "Han, stay, we need you." And then he was like, "You need." He was like, "We need." And she was like, "Yes, but what about you?" And she was like, "I need." Didn't think so. And then he was like, "Come on, you want me to stay because of the way you feel about me?" And she was like, "Yes, you're a helpful leader. You're a great soldier." And he was like. And then he's like, you didn't think I was gonna, you didn't think I was gonna leave without giving you a goodbye kiss? And then like he's like putting his face right in front of Leia's face, expecting her to kiss her, but he's just playing around. And then he's like, "Huh? Come on. And then like she's like, "You're disgusting," or something like that. And it's just really funny. Like that whole scene is just so funny. Yeah, I just love all the scenes between them two. It is not cringy at all or cheesy. It's really well written and it's really funny. Like you can tell right there they're trying to be funny and it works so much. Yeah. So what else was I gonna say? What else is there for me to talk about that scene? So yeah, and then he's like and then, like, when he walks away, when the scene ends, he's like, "I could use a good kiss." Yeah, I really like that scene. So, like, that more of that stuff goes on when, like, Luke is rescued and, like, they're greeting him back. And then, like, and then Han Solo was like, Han Solo tells Leia, she extends her full feelings about me. And then she's like, my full... Why, you stuck up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder. And then Han Solo's like, "Who's scruffy looking?" Yeah, that scene's so funny. Yeah. And well, what kind of grosses me out in that scene is that when Luke and Leia, like, they kiss in that scene, and then later on in Return of the Jedi you find out that they're brothers and sisters, which is kind of a little gross where that came off in. But in this movie you don't know that they're brother and sister, so that's not any flaw I have with this movie that I won't take off any points on. So yeah. It just kind of grosses you out now that you've seen like the whole movies now. So yeah, but it's still like it's not a huge problem this movie has. Like I said, I'm taking no points off of that. So yeah, but I do like in that scene she's like, "Well, I guess you don't." She tells Han like, "I guess you don't know the right thing about women then," and then she kisses Luke. I can tell she was mostly kissing Luke just to make Han jealous. So yeah. And then Luke right there, he seems a little bit happy, like he has his head, he has his hands on his head, like, yeah. So yeah, I love that. So yeah, that scene's pretty good. Yeah. So what else was I gonna say? What else was I gonna say? So yeah, I love the whole once again in this movie, the special effects work so much. Like the special effects in this movie work even more than it did in A New Hope. The special effects here look real. Like they look really real. They hold up today, and they look like the sequel trilogy effects too. They really hold up today, and they're done really well. Like all the scenes with Darth Vader in his his big Star Destroyer. I forgot what it was called, but like all the scenes in there where like that he's mostly in throughout the entire movie. The inside of it looks real. Like it looks really beautiful in it. It just looks really beautiful. Hoth looks beautiful. It looks really beautiful. Hoth actually looks like a snow planet. You actually feel like you're in a snow planet, and it looks really beautiful. The Dagobah system looks beautiful. Cloud City is so beautiful, and it's so stunning. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? So yeah, Cloud City is really stunning, and yeah. And the asteroid, like the asteroid cave they end up in is done really beautifully. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? So yeah, I love that battle in Hoth between the rebellion and Vader's people, and I love this movie introduced us the Imperial March. The Imperial March is my favorite set of music ever in a movie. It is so awesome. It even chills my spines too. Just to hear that music, you right away know you're about to see Darth Vader. This is Darth Vader's theme, and it chills your bones. It's really cool. It's even giving me chills right now, even thinking about it. It's just really cool. It really fits in with this movie, and I think it's like the whole theme song to this movie, and it fits in to this movie. It's perfect. It's really cool. So yeah, the soundtrack really improved from A New Hope. Like, this movie improved a lot from A New Hope. That's what I mostly love about it. A New Hope was really good, but here, this is a masterpiece. Not to say A New Hope's not a masterpiece, but this is the peak of movies and the peak of Star Wars. So yeah. What else was I gonna say? So yeah, the soundtrack is amazing. Back to the battle in Hoth. That looks really real. Like, the AT walkers look so real. Like, the way they walk just looks really real. And like when they're shooting at the ships that the rebellion uses in Hoth, it all looks really real. And I love when like Luke uses like a grappling hook on his belt and like puts a grenade in there and it explodes and then it falls and it looks really real. And yeah, I just love that. That's the only scene that our heroes win in the movie, and it's really cool. Like, I just noticed, like, the good stuff for the characters happens in the beginning, but like after the beginning, bad stuff starts happening to the characters. Once they leave Hoth, that's when the bad stuff starts happening to our characters, and it's really cool. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Anything else? Let me think. So yeah, I just love I love the scene where Han Solo and Leia and the droids and Chewie escape Darth Vader. Like, they barely escape Darth Vader because like Darth Vader walks in the room and like he sees the Millennium Falcon taking off. So yeah, and it's really suspenseful how the Millennium Falcon is broken and they're going through all this dangerous shit that like a broken ship shouldn't go through. And yeah, it's just really suspenseful. And I love the music. Like, when they go to space and like Vader's people are like chasing after them, the music in that scene is so cool. It's perfect, and it's so chilling too. Like, when they're like going away from them, the Imperial March is playing a little bit, and then like there's this cool song that is called the Asteroid Field song. It just goes and it's just really cool. It really sets you on to this scene, and it's just really chilling too. And like when they're going in the asteroid field, there's so much suspense, and there's so much suspense in going in it and in it too. Like, 3PO's like telling Han Han like pulls the hyperdrive. He's like, watch this, and nothing happens. And Leia's like, watch what? And then yeah, I love where like when they're getting there, 3PO's like, sir, the chances of surviving an asteroid field are 770,000 to 1. And then he's like, never tell me the odds. And then he just goes through it, and like he's like they're like dodging every asteroid in that scene, but like the TIE fighters are getting destroyed from there, and that's one of the easiest ways to, not the easiest, but it's one of like, it's probably like, for a broken ship, it's really hard to go through, but to kill TIE fighters, it's really easy to kill them. So yeah, I just love how like they go in there, like they're still willing to go in there to escape from the Empire. I just love when like they're moving and then they land their ship on a cave inside a big asteroid. So yeah, let's talk about Luke now. I know I forgot to. I was gonna talk about Luke in depth earlier in my review, but here we are gonna talk more in depth about him. I love the scenes where he goes to Dagobah system with R2 accompanying him. So yeah, R2 is really cool in this movie, and I love like how he's always on Luke's side in this movie, and like I love like when he goes on Dagobah system. Dagobah looks real. Like it's Dagobah's just a set, but nothing in that set makes you feel like you're on a set. You really feel like you're in a swamp. You're in a swamp planet with a bunch of like prehistoric animals and a bunch of reptiles, and it looks real, and you're really invested in that scene. And yeah, and like Yoda in this movie is really funny. so yeah, before I talk about Yoda, I just want to say Luke in this movie, he's really compelling, and I love all his teachings with Yoda in this movie, where like Yoda's like showing him the Force, and like he's Luke's not even listening to him, not even paying attention to him all that much, and then he's just telling him, "You are the impossible," and all of that. And I just love how in this movie Luke wants to become a Jedi, and in here like you really see that Luke really wants to change. Like Luke really wants to fight off Vader, and you really see that like he really wants to complete his training that he did with Obi-Wan with Yoda. So yeah. But not, you don't really see he gives it his all, because like he does fail a lot of the stuff he gives him. But like I just really love like how he's just like very very, he's just very very hesitant in this movie, and that's what makes the Empire Strike Back on him even more, because like he's very very hesitant in this movie, and that's what makes him really interesting in this movie. So yeah, what else is there? Let me think. And him being hesitant is not done in an annoying way at all. It's done in a really investing and interesting way too. So yeah. And I love how like he cares a lot for his friends in this movie. No matter what, he will still care for his friends, and he will fight off Vader. I love how he cares for his friends so much in this movie. So yeah, I just really love Luke in this movie. So yeah, and Yoda in this movie. Yoda, he's probably the funniest character in all of Star Wars. Yoda in this movie has so much humor and so much comic relief in this movie. He is so cute and he is so funny, and like you really care for Yoda in this movie more than you did in the prequels. Yoda in here, he looks real too. Like Yoda, they just use like a puppet to control Yoda, and he's really compelling. They did the most perfect job with the puppet they ever did in a movie that I've ever seen. Like here, they use so much. They're just so amazing with assembling that puppet. Like his wire work, his voice, it's just really cool. So yeah, this puppet, like even at times you don't even feel like you're seeing a puppet. You feel like you're seeing like an actual little green person, and it's just done really well. So yeah, Yoda is really funny. When he's first introduced, he's so funny. Like Luke's like telling him like, we're looking for someone, and then Yoda's like, looking? Found someone you must have, I would say. Hmm? Yeah, that scene's really funny. What else happens? And then right there, like Yoda's even like he's just like pulling like this like funny like comic relief mood on him to yeah, and like I just love how like he's annoying him just a little bit in that scene. He's not annoying to the audience, just to Luke Skywalker. So yeah, I love how like he's like going in his like his lunch case, and like he's like, hey, get out of there, and then he like starts throwing a lot of stuff back, and then he gets his like flashlight out, and he's like so yeah, I just love that scene, and I love where like Luke's like, please give me my lap back. I'm gonna need it to get out of the slimy mud hole. Mud hole? Slimy? What hole this is? So yeah, and I love how like R2 like tries to take the lamp from him, but like he's like blocking it, and like he even gets his like cane stick, and he's like hitting R2 like, give it back, mine, 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 mine. Yeah, that whole scene's really funny. So yeah, and then like Luke Skywalker's like, R2, just give it to him, and then like when R2 like puts like the metal arm back in his place, Yoda just like closes his thing. So yeah, and I love how like Yoda's not even saying that he's Yoda to Luke Skywalker. Like Yoda's like, I'm looking for a Jedi Master, and he's like, oh, Jedi Master, Yoda. You seek Yoda. And then Luke's like, you know him? And he's like, take you to him, I will. And yeah, I love how like he takes him inside to like eat some soup. So yeah, and I love in that scene he's like and Luke's like, is Yoda far? And he's like, Yoda not far. And then like I love where like Luke mentions his father to him, and then Yoda was like, powerful Jedi was he? Powerful. And then Luke's like, how do you know my father? You don't even know who I am. I don't even know what I'm doing here. We're wasting our time. And then like and then from in that scene, Yoda reveals that he's Yoda, and when he does, it is done awesomely and beautifully how he reveals himself as Yoda. He gives off this wise wizardry appearance, like this like wise wizardry like he gives this it's just really cool like how wise he shows himself in that scene. And like he's talking to Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, and he's like, I cannot train the boy, he's untrainable. And he was like, he is trained, was I any he is trainable, was I any better when you taught me? And then Yoda was like, he will not learn patience. And then he was like, and then Obi-Wan's like, he will learn patience. So yeah, I love that scene. And then right there Luke sees that he's Yoda. And then I love how in that scene, Yoda's like, "Be ready." Yoda's like, "You can't train. You'll be afraid." And no, he's just like, you won't be able to train." And then Luke's like, "Don't test me, Master. I'm not afraid." And then Yoda's like, "You will be. You will be." Yeah, I just love that scene so much. He just tells him, "You will be afraid. You will be," which will later on reveal that he does actually become afraid. So yeah, and I love all the scenes with Vader in his like in his what is it called, Star Destroyer. So yeah, I don't know what his big main one is called, but it's still really cool. So yeah, I love all the scenes where he's like talking with his people, and he's like telling him like a lot of stuff, like, where have you found the ship or something like that. And like they even there and like I love the scene where Darth Vader he actually serves someone. You actually see that Darth Vader is actually serving someone in this movie, and it is the Emperor. And like I love the scene where he talks with the Emperor, and then like in that scene, like the Emperor looks really scary. Like he looks really scary. And yeah, he's just, you really see that this guy is Darth Vader's master, just by even looking at him too. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I love the dialogue that goes on in that scene. The Emperor is like, there is a great disturbance in the Force, and then Vader's like, I've sensed it. And then like he's telling him to bring the boy to me, that he will be turned, and all of that, that like he will become a great asset to the dark side and all of that, and the Force is really strong with him, and he will be really good. He would be a really good asset for the dark side. So yeah, I love that scene so much. And then like Vader's even bowing at him throughout the whole scene, and it's just really cool. So yeah, what else is there? So yeah, I like I said earlier in my review, I love when he's just like choking out his people left and right. So yeah. And I love where like Han Solo and Leia are like on the still in the asteroid field cave, and like they're trying to fix the Millennium Falcon. They're trying to fix the Millennium Falcon, and like they're still like it's still like being it like Millennium Falcon's really hard to fix in this movie, and they're still having a really really hard time fixing the Millennium Falcon. And I love in that scene, Leia and Han first fall in love in that scene. They first kiss in that scene. Leia's like trying to like pull this like lever, and then Han just goes in there, and he's like like Han's just right behind her, and then like she shoves him away, and he's like, "Hey, I'm only trying to help your worshipness." And then she's like, "Would you please stop calling me that?" Or, "Okay, Leia." And then I love in that scene, like he's telling her like what else is there? Let me think of all the dialogue that goes on in that scene. And by the way, this is the Star Wars movie that I've seen the most out of all of them. So I remember a lot about this, but only a little bit of stuff I don't remember. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? What else? Let me think. What else? What goes on? I love in that scene where like Han Solo's like holding Leia's hand, and then he's like, "Stop it! Stop doing that!" And then he's like, "Doing what? That? My hands are dirty." And he's like, "My hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of?" And then like, I love right there. Leia's even calling Han a scoundrel. And then Han's like, scoundrel. And then like, I love right there where he's still like doing the thing with Leia's hands, and then Leia's like, "I happen to like nice men." And then he's like, "I'm a nice man." And then she's like, "No, you're not." And then they kiss right there, and like you can tell even while she's saying that, she still wants to kiss him, and they kiss right there, and it is so romantic, and I just love it so much. And then I love where like 3PO like appears in the background. He's like, "Sir, I've isolated the reverse plex power coupling." And then like they stop kissing right there, and then like Leia like walks away, kind of scared. So yeah, I just love that scene so much. So what else is there? Let me think. So yeah, and I love in that scene later on they reveal that they are not in a cave. Like they have not been in a cave this whole time. They've been inside of a giant monster. Like Leia starts noticing like there's some weird shit going on outside, like these weird insects going like on the windows, and like they even go outside and the ground feels so mushy, and then like the cave even starts shaking too, and then like they go in there, and that the music that's in that scene really builds up. Like all the music in the scene builds up. I don't think there'll be one I don't think there'll be one scene where I don't talk about how much the music builds up to that scene. So yeah, and then they go they go back into the Falcon, and then they go out right on time. Like they see that the cave is collapsing and like it's showing teeth closing, and then Han Solo is like, "It's no cave," and she's like, "What?" And then they go, and then they barely make it out of there, and like there was this really giant worm creature like trying to like bite them back in, but they barely make it out of there. So yeah, that was really clever to do. That was a really clever idea to have them be trapped inside a monster instead of a cave. That is actually one of the most cleverest ideas I've ever seen in a movie, and it's done really well. And by the way, that thing is called the Exogorth. Yeah. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So yeah, and I just love right there like the Empire like catches them again. So yeah, but like right now, I'll go back to Yoda and Luke. So I love where Luke is training with Yoda, and Yoda is on his back, and Yoda looks really cute on his back, and like Luke is like flipping and all of that, and like swinging on the tall branches, and yeah, that whole scene's really cool. Where like and then Yoda's telling him, "Master your senses," and all of that. And yeah, and I love how like I love when like they stop and like Yoda gets off of Luke's back and like sits on a log, and then like Yoda tells Luke, "Go into that cave, cause like in there you will find the darkest secrets," or something like that. And like Luke ends up going in there, and like he has like his weapons ready and his lightsaber, and then Yoda's like, "Your weapons, you will not be needing them." And so, but like he still keeps his weapons. He goes inside the cave, and this is one of the most trippy scenes I've ever seen in a sci-fi movie. This is one of the most surprising scenes, awesome scenes, and suspenseful scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It really drives so much questions in your mind with this scene. When he's in the cave, he sees Vader. He actually sees Vader, and they fight. Like Luke takes out his lightsaber, and they have a little fight. And then Luke chops Vader's head off, and then his head like falls on the like rolls around on the floor, and then the mask explodes, and then it shows behind the mask Luke's face, and it's just like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that supposed to mean? It just raises so many questions, and it is so cool. It's so chilling too. Like it's just giving me chills thinking about it. So yeah. That whole scene is done really well. Rest in peace, Irvin Kershner. You did a fantastic job directing this movie. And Irvin Kershner, you are my favorite director just for directing this movie. Well, actually, no. Quentin Tarantino's still my favorite director, but I think Irvin Kershner would be my second favorite director. I've only seen Irvin Kershner do this movie. I hear all his other movies are mediocre, like they're very mediocre, but I still really plan on checking them out. Irvin Kershner did a beautiful job directing this movie. He did a way better job than George Lucas did in A New Hope. The camera work that he used in this movie was so beautiful too. I give you so much praise, Irvin Kershner. So yeah. What else was I gonna say? What else is there? Let me think. So yeah, once that scene goes down, like Luke comes back and he looks all confused, and like he's just as confused as the audience is, and it's just really cool. And yeah, and what else was I gonna say? So yeah, and I love after that like it's showing like Han and Leia like still being chased by the Empire, and I love how like when they're being chased by the Empire, like they barely like hide from them. Like they hide like behind one of the Star Destroyers where they couldn't see them, and that was a really clever place to hide. So yeah, and I just love how right there they're even coming out of the asteroid field, and 3PO is like, "Thank goodness we're coming out of the asteroid field." So yeah, I love that scene. So yeah, uh, what else is there? And then I love the scene where Luke and Yoda are still training, and like Yoda's. I love where like wait before I talk about that, I want to tell you guys I love when like Luke is like hanging on his hands, like he's hanging his whole body on his hands on the floor, and like he's controlling a lot of shit, like he lifts stones and all of that and puts it on top of another stone. And so like that's his first lesson with the Force, and Yoda summons that up very highly by telling him to try to lift up the X-wing from the river. And so like Luke keeps telling him like, Master Yoda, lifting stones is one thing, lifting a big ship is another. And so yeah, and then like Yoda's like, no different, only different in your mind. So yeah, I love that scene so much, and like Luke like tries to lift it up, but he just makes it worse. He just makes it sink more, and like and like Luke just like sits down like so tired, and he's like, I can't do it. It's too big. And then he's like, size does not matter. Judge me by my size, do you? I love that scene so much. I even take that quote too. Like, I take that quote a lot because, like, I am a lot shorter than kids my age. And I so much take that quote from the movie. Like, I take judge me by my size, do you, all the time when people judge me because of because of how short I am. And yeah, this movie even is all the line delivery in this movie. I love using in real life too. Like all the line delivery with Vader. Like, what's the line delivery? What's some good line delivery? When he's in the end, where like keeps changing his mind about the deal with Lando. He keeps telling him, "I'm offering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further." I always say that whenever I change my mind about stuff, and I'm even telling my mom, like, Mom, please, if you say that whenever you change your mind about something, I will heavily listen to you, and I'll just be like, okay. So yeah, I've always told my mom to do that, but she keeps forgetting how that line goes. So yeah, what else is there? What else is a line from Vader I could quote by? Let me think. Any other line from Vader in this movie? Let me think. Any other cool line he gives off in this movie? So, what else was... I think... I'll try to think of more while I'm talking. So... And yeah, and a lot of... one more... sorry about that. One more line that Yoda says is what everyone else says too. Like when Yoda like is trying to lift up the X-wing, when Luke's trying to lift up the X-wing, Luke is like, "I'll give it a try," and then Yoda's like, "No, try not, do or do not. There is no try." And yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone uses that line when when they don't want someone to try to just do it. And I always use that line too. Like whenever like my little cousin had like a soccer tournament once, and I was like, please try to make like 5 goals, and she was like, okay, I'll try. And then I'm like, no, try not, do or do not. There is no try. So yeah, that's a line I always use in the real world. So yeah. This movie has a lot of catchy lines to use in the real world. So what else was I gonna say? So yeah, in that scene where like Yoda's talking to Luke about like he's talking to Luke about the Force in that scene in such a beautiful way. Like he's saying like the Force binds us, penetrates us, it keeps the universe stable. It's what gives us power, not this crude matter. So yeah, and I love like he's just saying like the Force is really strong with us. And then Luke just stands up and he walks away from him and he says, "You're the impossible." And then like Yoda lifts up the X-wing like he closes his eyes and lifts up the X-wing like it's nothing. He just lifts it up without using much of his strength. Like he doesn't even look like he's hurting at all while doing it. He's just easily doing it. He does it, and then he perfectly lands the X-wing on land. And then the music in that scene is so beautiful. Like literally, it's just really beautiful to hear. I even hear this piece of music too. Like the music that plays is just like da No, it's just like. It's just really beautiful. It's really chilling. It's really beautiful to listen to. It just gives you chills all over your body, and it's just really beautiful. Without that music, that scene wouldn't have worked at all. And I just love when like Luke just goes up to Yoda right after he had landed the X-wing, and he tells him, I don't believe in. And Yoda's like, that is why you fail. That scene is that's one of the greatest comeback lines ever. That's one of the greatest insults in film history of all time. It is so roasting. He literally roasted him in that scene. It is just so great. So yeah, and then that's where the scene ends, and it ends where this scene ends right there is just very satisfying. So yeah, and I love in this scene where like it shows you like how the back of Vader's head, like without his mask, it's all burnt, and you see that Vader needs his suit. He needs his mask. He just doesn't just do it for fashion or style. He uses it because he actually needs it. So yeah, and that was a really cool character thing for Vader in this movie. So yeah, what else is there? And like, don't even get me started with the end battle. I think this is my favorite end battle ever in a movie. The Cloud City battle is just so cool. I want to talk about it, but before I do, I want to tell you guys. Luke, how Han like goes to Cloud City, like they're behind the Star Destroyer, and then they find like a bunch of systems they could use to fix the Millennium Falcon, and then he finds Lando's system. But it's not Lando's system, it's Lando Calrissian. He's a man, Lando Calrissian. And so like they end up like taking off the Star Destroyer right when like the Star Destroyers take off in light speed. So yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Mom? I'm almost done. 5 minutes. What else was I gonna say? And I love this. I forgot about I didn't forget about it, but like this line delivery from Vader, where like he's hiring the bounty hunters. He has all these bounty hunters that he's like deciding on who to hire, and like he's like talking to them, and then he like directly talks to this one, and he says. He directly talks to Boba Fett, and he tells Boba Fett, no disintegration. And then he's like, yes, my lord. And just from there, you know Boba Fett's character already. Just from there, just from 2 words, you know Boba Fett's character. And that is really clever. That is so clever. Just from 2 words, you know of this man's full character. And it's just so awesome. So yeah, and then like, you know Boba Fett's reputation in this movie. He loves disintegrating, and he just does shit he just kills people without giving a shit. And he just does anything for money just from those 2 words. And yeah, it's just really breathtaking and really clever. So yeah. What else is there? What else is there? So like I love how like so back to Han Solo like getting away from the Star Destroyer. I love when he gets away from there. You think they're getting away from the Empire, but another ship comes, and like you see it's Boba Fett's ship. So yeah, that scene is really cool. So what else is there? Let me think. And I love when like they get to Cloud City. Before they get to Cloud City, like you follow with Luke still training with the Force. And he's like doing the handstand again, and like he's lifting up like a lot of things, like the suit, I think like the things, all the things he brought, and he's even lifting R2 as well, and it's really cool. And like he gets a vision of what's gonna happen in the future, and he sees what's gonna happen to Han and Leia, and then like he falls, and like even R2 falls too, and yeah. And I love right there, like, he says, like, I saw a city in the clouds, something bad's gonna happen. And, like, Yoda's, like, telling him, please don't go, because, like, something worse will happen. Or, like, we won't be able to train anymore. Please don't do this. And like Yoda, and then Luke's just like looks really sad. Like Mark Hamill in this movie does an amazing job as Luke in this movie. He's perfect in this movie. This is probably the greatest acting I've ever seen from Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker is in this movie. So yeah, like you see how sad his face is in that scene, and it just really gets to you. So yeah, and you do feel for him in that scene. And I love when they go to Cloud City. This is the only one thing that makes this movie look a bit CGI. You can tell the CGI is obvious is how the way Cloud City looks like. The inside of the Cloud City is done beautifully, but the outside you can so tell is very CGI heavy. So yeah, I think that's the no, but like I won't take away any flaws from that movie because it does not take away any character building or any like awesomeness from this movie. Like it's just there. Like you're not really focused to it that much, so I won't take off any points from that. So, what else was I gonna say? I love in that scene. Han Solo. Han Solo is meeting with Lando, and like Lando's like, "You got a lot of guts coming here," and he looks kind of mad. But then, and then like he even he's like he fakes that he's gonna fight him, but then he's like, and then he hugs him, and then he's like, "How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you." And I just love where like they meet up with Lando right there, and you see that Lando is actually is kind of nice in that scene, and that's a pretty good introduction for Lando. So yeah, and I just love where like Lando is always getting at Leia throughout the whole movie. Like when he first looks at Leia, he's like, "Oh, what have we here?" And he was like, "Hello, I'm Lando Calrissian. I'm the administrator here. And who might you be?" And she's like, "Leia. Welcome, Leia." And then he grabs her hand and kisses it. And I just love how much he's getting at her. And yeah, it's just really funny and it's just really cool. So yeah, what else is there? Let me think. What else is there? Yeah, and I just love when they go inside the building. It all looks really beautiful. It's really colorful in the not really colorful, but it's somewhat colorful. Like it's all white and yeah, and it's done. It looks really cool. So yeah, and I love what in this same scene you see that something bad's gonna happen. That this was actually a really bad idea. C-3PO sees a black version of him, and then he's like, "It's nice to see a familiar face," and then he's just like, "Intruder," and then he just leaves, and then he's 3PO's like, "How rude." Basically, in that scene, the black 3PO was basically telling him to fuck off. Yeah, of course he wasn't really. Yeah, he was basically just telling him to fuck off right there. So yeah. So yeah, and I love when he goes in the same scene, the same room that he came from, because he hears like an R2 unit. He goes in there, and then he sees like there, and then like you hear an off-screen stormtrooper, like you hear a stormtrooper like off-screen, and like you see that 3PO scared, not from his face expression but from his voice, and he was like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I don't mean to intrude. Oh no, please don't get up." And then they shoot him, and like his whole like body parts like all get like rimmed. So yeah, like they all come off. So yeah, and what else is there? So yeah, and I love when like Luke like is still willing to leave, and like Obi-Wan's Force Ghost is like, "Please stay here. If you go there, there is a very highly likely chance to you can turn to the dark side. Do not give in to the dark side, please." And so yeah, and I just love how like they're still wanting him to stay, but like he's like, I can't just stay. They're my friends and all of that. And I love when he leaves. Obi-Wan tells Yoda, "That boy is our last hope," and then Yoda's like, "No, there is another." And it's just that scene, like that gives you a lot of questions in your brain, just like the one in the cave. That gives you a lot of questions. It is very character building, not character building, but it is very building, and it is very compelling. Like it's leaving a lot of questions in your mind. Like, who is this other one? There's another one just as good as Luke. Holy shit, who is it? So yeah, that whole scene's done really well. And I love like where like Chewie first sees like 3PO's like ripped body parts in a junk pile. So yeah, and I love where like he's like I love how much he's freaking out in that scene because like the trash people are like throwing him around. They're about to put him in like the fireplace, and he's like Chewie's like really freaking out. Like he's like and I just love how much he's freaking out right there. He just takes it from them, and he has his whole body in a box, and then like he's really sad that 3PO's dead, and he just takes it to Han and Leia in a room. And I love before that part goes on, Leia's like telling Han like Leia's telling Han like no one knows anything about 3PO and all of that, um and then like he's like, and then Han Solo's like saying something about Lando, or like we have to stay and like wait for Lando to fix the ship, and then Leia's like I don't trust Lando, and then he's like well I don't trust him either, but after all he is my friend. So yeah, and I love where like Chewie like takes his 3PO's body right there, and then like he's telling Han Solo like he found him there, and like Lando comes in, and then he's like, "Are you having trouble with your droid?" And then they're like, no. And then like Leia doesn't even want Lando to fix the droid for them. So yeah, and I love how right there like Lando even has this big smile like, "Oh, you truly belong here amongst the clouds. You're absolutely beautiful." And yeah, that scene's really cool. So yeah. So what else was I thinking? So yeah, and I love in that same scene like Lando's like taking Leia and them to Han and Leia and them to like have a dinner with them, and then like once he opens the door for the dinner, he tells them, "I have just made a deal that'll make the Empire go away forever." And so like he opens the door, and then it shows Vader in the dinner, like he's in the main chair, and it's just really surprising, like, well, holy shit, but it's fucking Vader's there, and then Han just takes out his blaster and just starts shooting at him like pew 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 pew, like he's shooting at him like he doesn't even care. He could have killed him right there, but like Vader's just like blocking the blaster beams, and it's just really cool. And then he even takes the blaster from him, and it just shows that Han was actually ready. Like he would actually have killed Vader in that scene, and yeah, that was just really cool. And yeah, I just love like right there, like Lando's like telling him like, "I'm so sorry, they arrived right before you did." And then yeah, and like right there, like from that scene, you start hating on Lando now. Like, what the fuck, Lando? You just betrayed them big time. So yeah, what else is there? What else is there? Let me think. So yeah, and I just love in that scene, like they just go in the dinner table, and the scene just ends right there, and like Boba Fett's even right next to Vader too, and it's just really, like really breathtaking. So yeah, and I just love like when like Luke's arriving, and he's just like like trying to like avoid like any Empire in there. Okay, and I just love after that scene, you see Han getting tortured. Han is getting tortured. He's like on this like electric thing that's like making him stand up, and like it's making him lay down on this like electricity thing that seems to be torturing him on his face, and it's just really dark, and you really feel for Han right there, like how much he's hurting and all of that, and it's just really breathtaking, and like that scene like it's just electrifying him, and then the scene ends, and it shows like what's happening in front of the room, and you hear how much Han is suffering and him screaming, and it's just really breathtaking. It's just, you really feel for Han right there, and it's just really chilling too. This whole video, just thinking about this movie is just giving me so much chills. So yeah, what else is there? And I love right there where like Lando's like Lando even looks like he's even feeling bad for Han. Like he's just like holy shit, what's happening? Like all of that, and he's just like, but like he's trying to like not show it. Like he's trying to not show it. Like he's just like he has this really serious face on. So yeah. And I love right there, like he's making a deal with with Vader, but like Vader just keeps changing up the deal like so much, and like at first he's telling him like you will have Leia and the Wookiee stay with you under your supervision and all of that. And then like Lando even like turns around, he's just like, this deal's getting worse every time. So yeah. And I love when like Leia, Chewie and Han are like in like this like kind of prison, no, like this jail thing, and like you see that like Han was really suffering from his face. Like his face is like so gray in that scene, and like he even tells them like, they didn't even ask me any questions. They still tortured him even without asking him any questions. They didn't get Vader didn't give a shit about Han in this movie torturing him, and it's really like right there. It just tells that just tells you the Empire does not give a shit. So yeah, and I just love right there. Lando comes in and like Lando like tells him like the plan and all of that, and like I just love how like Leia's like telling him like Vader wants us all dead, and then Lando's like he's not after you at all. He's after somebody called Skywalker. So yeah, and I love where like right in that scene, Han like tries to beat up Lando in that scene, and yeah, it's just him beating up Lando is just really breathtaking, and you really want him to beat the shit out of Lando too. Like, get his bitch ass, Han, just get him. But like, Lando's like security next to him, like kind of like stops him, and yeah. Yeah, but like Lando doesn't really like seem to be like very focused on that. Like he seems like you look like he's thinking that he deserves to like be hit and all of that. So yeah, and I love like right there after that scene they end up like having to like freeze Han Solo in carbonite, and like that whole scene is very emotional. The music, everything in that scene is so emotional. I love like they're walking up the steps, and like Chewie like is really freaking out that his friend is about to be frozen, and like he's like even punching like a lot of these stormtroopers like to not like take Han and all of that, and like Han's like, Chewie, it's fine, it's fine and all of that, and like Han like he seems to be scared, but he's not like full on scared. He's just like, okay, I'll this is the end of me then. Yeah, and I just love how much emotion Han is showing there, and Leia too. She's showing so much emotion in that scene, and it's just really breathtaking. And I love before he gets frozen into carbonite, he kisses Leia, and then he's just standing right there, and then Leia's like, "I love you," and then he's like, "I know." I love that scene. That is such great stuff, and that shows you all about Han's character. That is Han's character right there. That is Han Solo right there saying I know to I love you, and that is so cool. And then from right there he gets frozen, and I just love in that scene too, like Leia even looks like okay, like she looks a little bit pissed off that he said I know, and I just love that so much. And I use that line so much in the real world, like all the time with my mom too. Like when my mom's always saying, Jonathan, I love you, and then I'm like, I know. And then she's like, you know, and like, yeah, I use that line every day actually. So yeah, and I just love how impacting like that whole scene is, like when he gets frozen in carbonite, how much Chewie is screaming like, and it's just really compelling. It's just really dark too, and you really get invested, and you really feel for Han. So yeah, and like even like Boba Fett's even worried, like what if he doesn't survive? He's worth so much for me, and like Boba Fett's like such a prick in this movie. Like all he wants is just, he doesn't give a shit. He'll do anything for money. So yeah. So yeah, and I just love right there, like they say that he's alive and all of that, and I love like Vader like changes the plan again, and he's saying like Leia and the Wookiee will be with me now, and then Lando's like, that wasn't our deal. You said that they'd be kept in the city under my supervision. And then he says, I'm altering the deal. Like I said this line earlier in the movie, and I just love in that scene like Lando like does this to his neck, and like if Vader like gave him like just like a little bit of a force grip, like that was really cool. So yeah, and like I love in that scene where Luke comes in, and then like the Han's carbonite, Han being in carbonite is being carried out, and Leia and Chewie are being heavily guarded by the stormtroopers and Lando. And yeah, I love in that scene where Luke first comes in and Leia sees him, and then like the stormtroopers start shooting at Luke, but he's barely blocking them, and he's like, and then Leia's like, Luke, don't, it's a trap. and it's just that whole scene like really like is really chilling. Like you know it's a trap too. It's just really chilling that scene. Like even the way Leia's saying it too, like you know this is a trap, and like it's just really heartbreaking. So yeah. Um, so what else is there? What let me think. And I love this is my favorite lightsaber fight ever in a Star Wars movie. The fight between Luke and Vader in The Empire Strikes Back is so cool. The way the lightsabers look in this movie are so cool. Like the way they move the lightsabers and all of that is just spectacular. Like they take the lightsabers and like they're like really fighting with them, and like they really don't like want to die and all of that, and like they're just going like Luke just takes out his lightsaber like really fast, and it's really cool. And I love before that happens, he's in the place where like Han just got frozen in carbonite, and like he looks at his blaster and he's like, this is not gonna do him any good, so he just puts it away. So yeah, that was really cool. And I just love where like Luke, like the battle between them is just so awesome, and it's so emotional, and it just gives you it's so suspenseful too, and it gives you chills, and like it's just so cool. So yeah, they're just like fighting with the lightsabers, and like and then like they're talking, and like Vader's like, the Force is strong with you, Obi-Wan taught you well. And so yeah, and I love where like he drops Luke to where like Han got frozen in carbonite, and then he barely jumps out of there, and then Vader turns on the carbonite thing, and he's just like, way too easy. And then he looks up at Luke and he sees he's still there, and he was like, impressive. So yeah, I just love the whole dialogue in that scene too. And I love how like I love all the scenes with like Lando. Like Lando's like actually saying like Lando's actually thinking like I should do something about this. This is not right. Like he actually sees like what he's doing is not right. So he gets all his people to help him out, and like he gets all his people to help him out, and like arrest the stormtroopers, and like get them away from them. So yeah, I love that scene so much, and I love when they get freed from their handcuffs. Where Chewie gets freed from their handcuffs, he just chokes the shit out of Lando, and I just love that scene. And Leia's not even giving a shit for him. Nor is Chewie, and then Lando, and then like Leia's just talking to him like, why would you do this? And then he was like, I had no choice. And then he's like, there's still a chance to save Han. And then like, and yeah, and I just love where like he just like Chewie just lets him go, and then like 3PO's on Chewie's back, and then he's like, I'm terribly sorry about this. After all, he's only a Wookiee. Yeah, that scene's really funny. So yeah, what else is there? So like more about the lightsaber duel between Vader and Luke. That's really awesome, and I love like the way the lightsabers sound in that scene too is really cool. And I love where like Vader falls back, but like he doesn't even fall anywhere deep. And like I love where like Luke is alone for a little bit, but then he sees like Vader like right in front of him, and then they're fighting again, and it's just really cool. And like it's just really cool. Like the music in that scene really puts you in there. They put the Imperial March, but in like a different tone, and it is awesome. It's very awesome. So yeah, it's just like they're really like fighting and all of that, and it's so cool. And like Vader's even using the Force to like hurt Luke with like these metal stuff. Like he's taking a lot of like metal stuff on the wall, and like a bunch of like equipment in the room, and like just throwing it at him to like, so yeah, and like he even throws it at the window to make Luke go flying. And yeah, it's that, like Vader was really good with the Force in that scene. So yeah, and I love like they're like fighting in like the antenna. They're like fighting in this like giant antenna in like the middle of Cloud City, and like that has like a really long cliff to fall in. So yeah, I love where like when they're fighting right there, and like they're fighting right there, and like he even he even like Vader even makes like Luke lay down in that scene, and he's just like you're trained well and all of that. And like Luke and then Luke manages to stand up, and like he's just fighting him, and then he even like Luke even like hits him with the lightsaber on the shoulder, on the right here on the arm. And so yeah, that part's really cool. And I love right there when they're fighting, Vader even he chops off Luke's hand, and it's just like, holy shit, what the fuck? He just chopped off Luke's hand. And it's just really heartbreaking. It's just, holy shit, holy fucking shit. And you really feel for Luke right there. He's in so much pain right there. It's very shocking and very surprising. So yeah. And I just love, I love that scene where, like, Luke is very weak and his lightsaber even fell off too, and he's, like, trying to, like, walk away from Vader, like, he's trying to, like, try not to get killed from Vader, and he's, like, dangling on the antenna that's, like, right, like, if you take one wrong step, you'll fall. So, yeah. And I just love right there, like, Vader is talking to Luke and all of that, like, you are defeated and all of that, and, like, join me and together we can end this darkness. And then he's like, I will never join you. And then Vader's like, if you only knew the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. Excuse me. And then Luke's like, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And then Vader's like, no, I am your father. Everything in that scene just gives me goosebumps and chills everywhere, and it is so shocking. That is like that's the most big plot twist ever in a movie. It is one of the most biggest twists ever in the movie. It's one of the most surprising twists ever in a movie, and it is very shocking. And I must imagine how the theater in 1980 reacted to this movie when Vader said that. And it's just really cool. The Imperial March plays very, very darkly in that scene, and it really gets you invested. And like when Luke sees it, you really see how shocked he is. He's as shocked as the audience are, and he's just saying, no, that's not true. That's impossible! And then Vader's like, search your feelings. You know it to be true. And then Luke's like, no. It's just, you really feel for Luke right there. Mark Hamill's acting was perfect and amazing in that scene, and he really got you feeling bad for Luke, and you felt the same emotion he did. And it's just really sad and really shocking, and the way his face looks in that scene too is really shocking and really compelling. And yeah, just everything in that scene is just really dark. And then Vader's like telling him, like, Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son. And then Luke looks down at the big long cliff, and he willingly commits suicide. He falls down without even screaming at all. He falls down, and he wants to die. Like he thinks that everything, like this is so dark for him. He thinks everything he knew is gone now. Like, why the fuck didn't anyone tell him this? His father is the most evilest person in the galaxy. He wants to kill himself now, and it's just, holy shit, this is really shocking. Is he actually gonna die? It's just really, you really feel for him. Sorry about that. I promise I don't have coronavirus. So yeah, and I love right there, Luke gets saved. The music in that scene really builds you up too. Like, the music is just like do 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 do. It's just like do 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 do. So yeah, the music like really builds up, and like Luke ends up landing in like this like pipe system that like saves him, and like the music in that scene is so amazing. Just goes like dun dun dun. It goes like dun. Dun, 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 dun. And that music was so awesome, and like Luke like falls from that pipe system too, and like he just goes in another pipe system and then falls on the antenna under Cloud City. And like, yeah, I just love how like right there he's still scared, and like right there he's even like calling to Leia, and like Leia and Lando like barely managed to escape from the Empire, but like they couldn't save Han though. But like they barely managed to escape with the Millennium Falcon. And did I say Han and Leia? I meant Lando and Leia. So yeah, I just love where like Luke is like calling for someone to help him, and then Leia senses him, and that's the first sign that's what Yoda was talking about, the other one. And like she senses Luke, and like she goes back to save Luke, and like Lando's like, are you sure? And he's like, and then Chewie's yelling at him, and he's just like, all right, and you can tell Lando's really annoyed at that scene. So yeah, I just love where like Leia just goes back and saves. Leia goes back, and like Lando is the one that catches Luke, and I just love where like in that scene Luke is just laying there and he just looks really defeated, and like his father is even calling to him through the Force, and he's like, Luke, and then Luke senses him and he's like, father? He's even calling him father in that scene, and then Vader's like, son, come with me. He even calls him son too, and it's just really, really dark, and like Luke is not even like paying any attention to him at all, and he's just saying like, Ben, why didn't you ever tell me? So yeah, and I love in that scene where like Leia and Lando are trying to escape from the Empire. Like the Empire is right on their tail now. So yeah, and I just love how like they're trying to escape the Empire right there, and like Vader leaves Cloud City, and I just love the music that plays in that scene, and I love when he goes back to his Star Destroyer when he's like coming out of his ship, and the music that built in that scene, the Imperial March, was done beautifully and compellingly. So yeah, what else is there? Let me think. Anything else I should talk about? Let me think. So yeah, and I love in that scene where like they're trying to get away from the Empire, and then like they finally managed to fix the Millennium Falcon and its hyperdrive, and they barely get away from the Empire. R2 fixes it. R2 fixes the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive, and they barely leave the Empire. And I just love in that scene where Admiral Pete looks really shocked, like, holy shit, Vader's gonna fucking kill me. Oh, holy shit, I really screwed him up. So yeah, but like, yeah, and I just love how like Vader's like, okay, they just left. So yeah, I just really love that scene. So what else is there? And I just love the way this movie ends too. Like they're like in the rebellion base, and like they're looking at like this dimension, like this like whole like dimension, and it's just really beautiful. The way the dimension looks, it looks so real and it's so beautiful. And like Luke even assembles a new hand, and it's so cool. And like the music is beautiful in that scene. And like and like them they still look kind of happy, even though they kind of failed. They see there could still be hope after they just failed right now. And so yeah, they're just smiling, and like they just look at Lando and Chewie going to the dimension with the Millennium Falcon, and they're just looking at the view, and the music that plays is so beautiful, and it really gets you into that scene. And then like the movie ends with like them like showing you like Luke and them like in the ship, and then it just cuts out of the ship, and then like it just shows you like the outside of the ship and the whole rebel base, and then it ends right there. This movie is my all-time favorite movie, and I love it to death. Yeah, just everything about this movie is great. The actors, they are perfect. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher are perfect as they ever were in any movie they were in, to be exactly, and any Star Wars movie. Frank Oz as Yoda is so amazing, and no one else could have voiced Yoda, and no one else could have done the puppeteering for Yoda as perfect as Frank Oz does. David Prowse and James Earl Jones, perfect as Vader in this movie, and they're such badasses. Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca is the greatest he's ever been, and I just love how much Chewbacca freaks out in this movie. Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker as the droids, perfect. Alec Guinness, perfect. Billy D. Williams, amazing as Lando. I love Lando in this movie, even though he's a bit of a dick. He's still a really cool character, and Billy D. Williams is perfect as Lando. So yeah, this movie is perfect, and by all means, like that's the one way I can describe this movie. Perfect. So yeah, the soundtrack, perfect. Pacing, I already talked about it, perfect. Special effects, perfect. The tone to this movie, they had so much care in making this movie. George Lucas had the least involvement in this movie, and this turned out to be the greatest one, and that's why Yeah, and if George Lucas were in this movie, had much more to do in this movie wouldn't have been as good. But he had the least involvement in this movie, and Irvin Kershner did a fantastic job directing this movie, and the crew did fantastic job directing this movie. The scenery, the effects, everything they developed was perfect and stunning, and it's amazing. So yeah, the comedy in this movie too. This movie, like I said, like there was a lot of funny moments in this movie, and it all worked. So yeah, to rate this movie, I'll rate this definitely, like without even hesitating, an A plus. This movie is my favorite movie of all time. It gets a plus. Love this movie. Please check this movie out. Please check the original Star Wars movies out before checking out the prequels or any of them. This is my favorite movie of all time. I cannot give it much praise as it already has. So yeah, this movie is a masterpiece. So yeah, I think that'll be the end of my review. This is a pretty long ass review. So yeah, bye and see you all in the next review.